Hello everyone. Today I wanted to kind of make a progress update for about 1 week into the game on my free-to-play account. Now the account hasn't been managed super grindy every single minute. I've had a bit of a busy week in terms of not only being a little bit under the weather, but also having some obligations outside and involving my other account as well. Maintaining two accounts is not very easy, to be honest with you. But anyways, here we have the free-to-play account and kind of the progress of the account after a week. I wanted to kind of see how it would perform and about how far I could get when it comes to stages and stuff like that. And like everyone else in the game right now, especially if you're on the free-to-play side, you are likely locked behind powder. And although, of course, there is an argument to be made that I could get a little bit further with a bit more, synergy or theory crafting when it comes to things like the stages, I could very likely have maybe gotten to the 325 to maybe 350, even 400 range on the account in terms of what might have been possible. But this is the account after exactly a week. Again, I've gotten a number of, I guess, rewards here. I haven't gotten anything super crazy when it comes to Snow Stomper. And I did join the server that I ended up starting on my main account about like a week from when I initially started playing the game as well. So I'm about 2 or so, maybe like 10 or so days behind the general server progress. But that isn't to say that, things are necessarily difficult. I get to log on. And in terms of collection, we can kind of just go through and see what characters I'm missing, what characters I'm not missing. The Celestials are not yet unlocked for me, unfortunately. But in terms of, 4 stars, 5 stars, I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 characters out of, I don't even know how many, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 42. So I think it's 46 total characters, and I believe I'm missing, let's see, that's 4, 8, 10, 12, technically 16 characters, including the Celestials, but that's a good chunk of the characters that I have owned. And this is, again, not a pay-to-win account. I've spent absolutely $0 and 0 cents on this account, but I have a couple characters at the legendary and, nearing mythic range. Now, of course, a lot of these characters are, or should in theory have been, the 4-star copies because it is more likely to get those copies. But actually, because of the way that the wishlist works, and I guess just in terms of having certain events where they allow you to pick certain characters that you get from chests and things of that nature, I actually have more legendary S rank or S soul level characters as opposed to the A star, which is kind of interesting. Now, again, to be clear, I haven't done anything super particular in terms of min-maxing, only getting 5 stars as opposed to, or I apologize, it's not a 5-star, but an S-level character as opposed to an A-level character. I've kind of just been pulling whenever I have the tickets or the opportunity to. As you can see here, I've not got that many gems as well. For as of right now, I've kind of just been pulling on the banner and hoping that I get something decent and being able to do, again, any kind of content, whether that's arena or dream realm, etc. Now, in terms of arena, I haven't gotten super high. Again, I'm only at the elite range, and arguably the point of this video is, or kind of what you'll see through this video, I should say, is that if you are playing kind of casually, you may not be able to play every single minute of every single hour because you will, again, probably be locked behind something like a powder, or you no longer have the ability to do more arena because you don't have flags. But even, I should say, as someone that has been refreshing with my AFK shop for gems and, trying to get a little bit more out of my my daily summons or like my daily resources, Resonance level 90 is not the craziest thing in the world. I've got 413 power, or 413,000 power. And in terms of performance, again, top 69% on a kind of older server is not the most insane performance. I don't think I'm in the lower half at this point. I think there are other people that I know that have started later than me, or earlier than me, that are still a little bit behind. But again, I understand that 400,000 power is nothing to really write home about. Again, however, in terms of wanting to try and strategize to beat up certain AFK rounds, though, you have to keep in mind that just with the way that my account rolled, I don't have that many good tanks in general. I never ended up pulling for a Thorn or receiving a Thorn, and I even less so have had the opportunity to get something like a Temesia or even like a Lucius beyond like the elite or legendary kind of rank. But I kind of just wanted to give my experience and thoughts while I'm getting absolutely pounded here about the free-to-play experience and kind of the things that I've noticed to be a little bit more annoying. And in my opinion, that kind of comes down to your early kind of pushing experience. Now, and I don't necessarily want to address like the very, very early parts of the game where everything is kind of clearable, it doesn't matter, but rather as opposed to, or one of the biggest struggles when it comes to a free-to-play account as opposed to a spender's account or a whale account, anything like that, is the fact that you don't actually have that much variability or flexibility, of course, because I don't have enough characters. But although you could argue that simply waiting for more equipment or more levels could certainly help you in terms of progressing through stages earlier or faster, there are a couple stages in AFK Journey that simply don't budge unless if you have certain characters or have certain different kind of faction characters as opposed to just higher imprints of characters. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because for certain characters, I know right now, as per my experience on my free-to-play or on my pay-to-win account, that if I don't inevitably end up getting someone like Smokey up to the Mythic Plus range, it is just going to feel absolutely impossible for me to clear one side of the dual or double-ended kind of, stages or AFK stages in the future stages that I have access to. But as it is right now, nothing feels super, I should say, I guess, clean when it comes to clearing. My Entendre almost always dies, and I have an even worse chance of clearing if I use someone like my Lucius or even my Temesia. Thankfully, I do have a decent kind of build-up in terms of composition. I've also just recently discovered through trying to clear content and seeing the battle records that Cisia also kind of poses herself as a decent tank. If you do end up kind of splitting the damage between a character like Entendre or your tank character alongside a character like Cisia, who does appear to be a little bit tankier, and then you can kind of juggle aggro, it does result in a lot more success. But even in a stage like this, when they start to move characters around, or when there's characters that fly around and kind of hit your backline, a character like Entendre has a little bit of trouble. But thankfully, again, through the help of Coco, and again, thankfully having a lot of Mauler characters, I've been able to successfully clear through more and more stages. But that kind of comes at the cost of other potential characters like my Lightborns or even Greyborns from being accessible or having access to these characters for things like PvP. But as you can see here, this is the team that I like to use to climb, and I'm able to do it very successfully right now through AFK, so thank goodness I'm not stuck for forever now. But the kind of the big issue that I have with running a team like this is that if for whatever reason I decided to want, or if I wanted to play a bit more PvP, it would be much more difficult for me to justify picking something like Coco and Smokey, especially if I'm fighting against teams that have things like Vala, because inevitably, if you're only running specifically Mauler characters, unless if you have a character like Brutus, my Entendre is really my only survivable backline character or backline baitable character for the Vala, and otherwise I would kind of just get spanked over by the rest of PvP. But even with that being said, as you could tell from my experience in Arena, I wasn't even that far. I do think that it is very tempting, of course, to, and thank goodness I've got more powder, so actually I can upgrade them even more. But even with my experience with Arena, what I've noticed is that some bosses or certain bosses, I'm calling them bosses, certain encounters or certain fights in Arena, when I'm on my other account, feel a bit more challengeable in the sense that you have, again, a couple different puzzle pieces to kind of fit. And judging by the experiences of my peers who have kind of also done and challenged other players as well, it feels less of a gear score or a combat power check. But for my free-to-play account, the line kind of ends at, again, trying to use a Mauler composition, specifically the one that I use for PvE in my PvP, and there's pretty much no, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the composition that I have to use in 99.99% of fights, and if I aren't, or if I'm not basically much stronger than the opponent, as you can tell from this fight, where I'm like maybe almost double their combat power, it usually just results in an L. And even for what's going on right here, this guy has a Riss, and if I was a little bit more, I guess, like if I was a little bit more evenly matched, you could argue that the inclusion of a new character that I'm not as familiar with would throw things a little bit more or into more disarray. But thankfully for me right now, and kind of my strategy when it comes to playing on this free-to-play account, especially in competitive settings, is to kind of just follow along with what other people in my general vicinity are doing, because again, there's a reason why we are all in the same rank. But even as you can see here, me refreshing a little bit, I'm not even at the point that, I'm not even in like the legend or challenger or champion rank kind of region. And I'm already starting to have to refresh several times. In the past, and even before I was spending an insane amount, I was typically going for the second or third strongest characters, or second or first option for strongest opponents in arena, and that's not just the case. It's just simply not the case for this account. You have to fight everything that's pretty much weaker, no matter what. There's no challenging or punching upwards. And if you do end up losing, it does feel a little bit worse, because again, you want to get these promotion rewards as soon as possible. 1,000 gems on a free-to-play account may not seem like much in small bursts, but being able to do or completing all this content together does result in a lot more pulls, a lot more gems, resources to upgrade your characters, and then of course get to further parts of the story. Now for Legend Trial, I will admit this is arguably the most difficult thing for me to complete amongst all the other challenges that I've encountered when it comes to my free-to-play account. Now the main reason for this is that if you just simply take a look at this, I have exactly 5 characters that I could use here. And again, I've changed things out, like for my wishlist, I have a character like Grandma Donnie, but in this case, I have literally no frontline character whatsoever. Arguably, I could put my Human in the front, and I kind of just pray that I don't end up getting one shot. But if I ever, for whatever reason, need to fight or encounter a fight that has several assassins or wolves that run up, I am instantly in danger. And the last time I did this, or the last time that the trial was open, of course, I tried my best to kind of clear through things. But as you can see here, I'm running a 0 frontline composition. Human, thankfully, is able to use her skills here. And if it, again, wasn't for the fact that I'm severely punching over or kind of overshooting the required level to kind of clear this content, I would be struggling or I'd be struggling a lot. And even more so for the Graveborn challenge, or even for this, I have another set of 5 specific characters that I have pretty much no flexibility with. My combat power here is definitely, again, going to be a little bit better, because it's been a little while since I've been able to challenge the specific fight, or even tried to do it. But in terms of locking, or in terms of restrictions, I should say, on the account, there are a lot. And it is unfortunate, of course, like no one wants to be restricted, and this isn't even technically a game where you have to save up for months and months to get one copy. If you just throw things onto the banner, you inevitably will get several of the different characters. But it is unfortunate because, again, if you are trying to make these characters usable, you need imprints, and I guess depending on how your account rolls. For me, I was fortunate in the sense that I do have more of the Mauler characters, so I have an easier time pushing through the AFK stages. But in all actuality, if I wanted something like PvP viability, Legend Trial viability, or even the Dream Realm viability, I would definitely maybe want a couple other characters, maybe a few more Valas, things of this nature, but I wasn't able to afford it, and that's basically the 1 week kind of, update for the account. I am still playing on the account. I'm still kind of cruising through. However, again, like I mentioned, the week has been a little bit more busy for me on certain days, but I've definitely been getting through all my dailies, which is the big thing because you get powder from it. But other than that, guys, I would like to say that although I've been noting that a lot of aspects of the free-to-play account are worse than the pay-to-win account, which makes sense because one you're spending real-life money on and the other you're not, I will say that it has been very inspiring to try and go through specifically just the AFK stages and have to really go through the records to see what works and what doesn't work. On my other account, although I do also definitely use records, there are a lot of times where I can kind of crutch on the fact that I have something like a Supreme Vala, or I can crutch on the fact that I have something like a Supreme Doran, and kind of just burst my way through certain fights. But it is interesting not only because I get to see what the limitations of what my account are, but it also allows me to kind of understand the game at a higher level in terms of strategy by being on the free to play account. And that's something that I've been lacking a little bit as opposed to just kind of unga bungaing my way through the other account. But long story short, I'm not spending money, which is great. I'm sure my bank account is very happy with that. But other than that, again, the new information and the new knowledge or the challenge that the free-to-play account has been giving me is really refreshing. A lot of gacha games nowadays are kind of just, okay, well, here's everything and you get everything for free, or, well, everything's locked behind, like, you had to have saved up for like 9 million years to pull one character. But this is a healthy kind of in-between, and I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the fact that on this account, I don't have everything, so it does feel like I need to kind of MacGyver my way out of things. But yeah, long story short, I'd say that the free-to-play experience for AFK Journey, I think at the very minimum, is about a 6.5 out of 10. I'm sure if I had a few more wilder or mauler characters that were a bit better, or if I even had one mythic character at this point, I would probably feel a little bit better. But I have been kind of stuck at this range for a little bit, just because it doesn't feel like I have good enough of a frontline character. I haven't pulled a Brutus yet, and I also haven't pulled someone like a Thorin, which is unfortunate, but I understand luck is luck, and that is how this game works. However, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you did, make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys have been thinking or how you felt about the AFK Journey free-to-play experience. I hope this kind of gave some perspective on those of you that are considering playing the game or have been playing the game and are kind of curious how other free-to-play characters are progressing or player accounts are progressing alongside yours. But yeah, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you again for watching, guys. I appreciate all of your guys' support on the newer content, especially for AFK Journey. If there's anything that you guys want me to cover, feel free to let me know. But again, this has been the AFK Journey free-to-play experience. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Good night.